What does the goddamn line say, Tony?
Please do not use gendered language.
Then what? I'll be arrested, put in airport jail?
Look, you're going completely sideways, man.
It's a big club, and you ain't in it.
How dare you?
Mr. Speaker, the President of the United States.
I'm Chris Hansen with Dave on NBC.
Jack Marius Tack Theratrix.
Hi, I'm Spartacus.
Jackson, Sacramento, he, him.
Steven Seagal.
Sex offender guy.
I'm Keith Morris.
This is Muammar Gaddafi.
I'm Rick James, bitch.
Sorting through the lies.
The hijacker's passport was found blocks from the World Trade Center crash site, if you can believe that.
We cannot track $2.3 trillion in transactions.
And uncovering the centuries-long plan for world domination.
Learning about Cuba, having some food.
Let's talk about Chinese people.
Have you ever been in a Turkish prison? Swangles and Fort Lauderdale.
I have sent 6 of my Libyan missiles to blow up the Sears hardware department.
Nothing could be more fun than jumping off a cliff with 2 German bisexuals.
Oh, you English are so superior, aren't you?
Thank you, comrade.
And now, macroaggressions.
That's what assholes call it.
With your host,
buddy, I don't know who you are, but you're about to get chlamydia.
Charlie Robinson.
Hey, Whitey, where's your hat?
You want to drop the blame on Charlie and say it's all Charlie's fault.
He was a retard.
I get some goddamn diuretic.
Welcome to Macroaggressions. I'm your host, Charlie Robinson. If you're watching us on Rockfin or Rumble, or you're listening wherever podcasts are served, thanks so much. We appreciate it. I hope you enjoy the show. If you like the show enough, consider rating it. We'll need a 5-star review if it's not too much to ask to fight this algorithm battle. Hey, we've got amazing sponsors. They help to keep this show going. We brought in 2 new ones. Take a look at David Avocado Wolf. Go to davidwolf.com, WOLFE.com, and see what he's got cooking over there. I met David, we were at an Acapulco this year. He was known to have had the best presentation at an Acapulco. He just really knows everything there is to know about health and wellness. And if you're feeling sick and you want to feel better, I'll tell you what, take a look at what he's got going on over there. There's a lot of opportunities, not just for products, but also for coaching and help like that. And consider becoming part of his member program as well. You get access to a lot of cool stuff. So if you're interested, davidwolf.com, and the promo code on your way out the door is macro. And also big thanks to Adam Schell, who came on talking about his company, Brain Supreme. Brain Supreme, man, microdosing mushrooms. You might have heard about it, didn't know where to get it, didn't know if that was going to be a good fit for you, or you didn't want to get it from some guy in some back alley somewhere, or whatever the situation was. Well, now you've got a source. Now you got a hookup. You can go to brainsupreme.co, not .com, but .co, and take a look at what they've got. They've got the blend that's good for energy, for focus, for workouts, things like that. There's different types. So take a look and see what you think. If you find something that you like, the discount code on your way out the door is macro. And by the way, the links for all of this are down in the show notes. If you're driving around or you're working out or you're doing something you don't have, that's cool. Just if you ever need it, you can go to the website macroaggressions.io to the partners page. All these people are there, all their companies, the links and all that good stuff is there. I don't expect you to have a pen writing all this down, but if you're looking for some good high quality microdosing mushrooms, and you're looking for some great supplements that'll help you, David Avocado Wolf, davidwolf.com, brainsupreme.co. Well, let's jump into this polarizing topic, shall we? Let's talk about Haiti. Haiti is, well, here in America, it's in the news. It's been in the news for a while. I'm sure, it's just the new chaos du jour for America, for the American media. They want to talk about how there's the Haitians have come to America and they're eating cats. And actually the media wants to talk about, they want to do an entire story about how they're actually not eating cats while doing a story talking about them eating cats. So it doesn't matter whether it's true or imagined for the purposes. The point is the same. Let's make all these people look like savages and then demonize them. Well, if you wanted to do that before you pipe them into America. How about this? And look, they're picking on Haiti right now, but it's not limited to Haiti. I mean, we've seen the hodgepodge of people that are coming up through the southern border. They're not specific to any one country. They're from everywhere. I wouldn't be surprised if they were importing people from the moon through the southern border, because it's just anybody can come. It's not, it used to be that like people from Mexico who wanted a better life were like, fuck Mexico. Let's like sneak across the border and go live in America instead. And they would do that. It's not Mexico anymore, right? It's beyond that. I mean, you know it's organized and you know it's being made to happen when you get that many people from Haiti coming into America, because geography class here for a second, Haiti's an island. It's part of the island of Hispaniola, which has the Dominican Republic on the east side and Haiti on the west side. It's split almost right down the middle. It's not like you can exactly walk to America from Haiti. Okay? So if you've got tens of thousands of Haitians showing up in America, that is by design. Because you don't get that many I mean, you used to get a bunch of Cubans, but that's because they would float on the rafts and, up to Miami and get picked up by the Coast Guard and then get brought in, and, all of the boat lift and all that stuff. I mean, that was coordinated. That was made to happen. So 20,000 Haitians showing up in Springfield, Ohio isn't an accident. It's on purpose. And if it's being done on purpose, then it is within our reach, to comment on it. Now, it would be probably disrespectful of us to just arbitrarily decide that we're just going to pick on Haiti and start pointing out all the flaws with their country. But they invited this. I mean, I know that our government is behind it all, but this is now a reasonable conversation to have about the history of Haiti, about what's going on there. By the way, you're going to be appalled. It's not just a poor country accidentally. It's not just a poor country because they've made bad decisions. According to Pat Robertson, it's more spiritual than that. We'll get into that quote in a little bit. And when you take a look at whose fingerprints are all over it, it probably won't shock you to realize that the Clintons have had a very, very long history in Haiti. We most definitely will get to that. But let's start with some of the facts surrounding this situation and work from there. Haiti has the largest population in the Caribbean. 11.4 million people live there. It's probably 11 million now. Might be 10 million by the time this episode goes out. I mean, it just depends on how fast they can load those boats up and sail them north to America. But it's the poorest country, not just in the islands, not just in the Caribbean region. It is the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere. It is unbelievably poor. Now, we'll dig into some of the reasons why they're poor. And some of it is bad luck. Some of it is nature. Some of it is genetics. And some of it is Bill Clinton. A lot of it is Bill Clinton. I mean, could you imagine? I mean, to put this in context, when Bill Clinton, notorious poonhound Bill Clinton, married Hillary Rodham, they spent their honeymoon. You know where I like to go? You know where I would love to go? You know where a lot of people go for their honeymoon? They go to the Caribbean. They go there's some beautiful places in the Caribbean. There's some beautiful places on the island of Hispaniola. I've never seen a more beautiful beach in my life. I've never stood on a more beautiful beach in my life than in the Dominican Republic in a place called Cap Cana. It shares an geography with Haiti. The Clintons didn't go there for their honeymoon. You know where they went? They went to Haiti. I'm not even sure what they did there, but I'm sure it was illegal. Anyway, moving on. The World Bank's Human Development Index lists Haiti at 158 out of 193 countries. This is just in terms of their how poor they are. One reason why they're poor is inflation. Would you like to know what the yearly inflation rate is in Haiti? It'd make you stop complaining about buying eggs at the grocery store. It's 44% a year, which means that whatever you had in the bank is basically whittled away due to inflation in roughly 2 years. So get to spending. Not that you have any money to spend, but if you did, you'd have to spend it because you can't save in an economy where inflation is 44%. You can't save in that currency. You could save in something else, but you would quite literally be better off getting paid every single day and buying like anything else, because the purchasing power is dropping every second that you hold that money. 96% of the population of Haiti is exposed or are exposed to hurricanes, floods, and earthquakes. Probably more earthquakes to come, if you know what I mean. So 96% of the population is exposed to those natural disasters. 100% of the population is exposed to massive government corruption, though. You don't get 4% hiding out from there. They're all involved. I mean, everybody is impacted by this, and it's had a lot of interference, a lot of foreign interference from the French for hundreds of years, and of course, America is getting involved in it just due to the geography. USA regime change Haiti back in 2004. We're pretty good at doing that. USAID and CIA went in there and pulled that one. NED. This was during the Iraq War, when we were sort of focused on the Middle East. We weren't really paying too much attention to our neighbors to the south. I mean, at least I guess the CIA was, so they decided to flip out that the people in power there for somebody that's a little bit more, amicable to the American dictates. In 2021, so just a few years ago, President Jovenel Moise was assassinated, probably by CIA-backed jackals. That's always the case, but that's sort of the political history of Haiti. It always has its fingerprints of the American empire, over the last 50 years. Deeply involved in that. But it's been going on for a long, long time. And when I said that there has been some supernatural components to this, well, ladies and gentlemen, from my book, The Octopus of Global Control, I'd like to read you a quote from Pat Robertson. Are you familiar with lunatic preacher Pat Robertson? Well, Pat Robertson is a quote machine. Okay, just keep the microphones near him and the tapes running. Okay, because he is liable to say some crazy shit. And one day, during one of his performances, preacher Pat Robertson said the following. And you know it's true because Pat Robertson said it. And I'm not going to do his accent, but it sounds kind of like that. Something happened a long time ago in Haiti, and people might not want to talk about it. They were under the heel of the French. Napoleon III and whatever. And they got together and swore a pact to the devil. They said, "We will serve you if you will get us free from the French." True story. And so the devil said, "Okay, it's a deal." Pat Robertson. Holy shit. True story. I love Pat. Just because you say true story doesn't make it a true story. You know that, right? You know that. The devil had was this the conversation you overheard the devil having? Get the fuck all the way out of here with this nonsense. But again, this is the slick-haired preachers, the Joel Osteens of the world, just up there talking about deals that the devil made. Devil went down to Georgia, and then apparently he went further south and went down to Haiti, too. Pat Robertson, history teacher, ladies and gentlemen. Let's talk about something that's super controversial, okay? And Jeremy Kaufman from Library Odyssey jumped into this on X this recently when this topic was coming across. And it's when I say it's polarized, it's a delicate topic to get into. It's delicate because we're sort of we are forced to generalize here. And whenever you generalize a group of people, you're going to look like an asshole, okay? Because admittedly, not all of the people are going to behave like the group. There's going to be some people that aren't, and they're going to be offended when you lump them all in, okay? But also, one of the ways that you can differentiate between people that have intellectual horsepower and those who don't is that there's an inability for stupid people to understand the concept of averages. And you'd think it would be easy. Statistical probability and averages really screw them up. So when you say that something along the lines of traditionally Asian people are slender, the dumb guy will say, "But I know a fat Japanese guy." And you could, right, understood. But statistically speaking, Asian people are slim. You know what I mean? So when you do that, you're always going to get some pushback by somebody that doesn't understand medians, means, statistical analysis, and also they don't know the context. They maybe don't know that you're not trying to be a dick about things like education level and intelligence. You're just trying to point out what the numbers say. So again, this is my disclaimer, and I'm not going to even give much of a disclaimer because I'm not doing anything wrong here, but we're going to talk about intellectual horsepower. Okay. We're going to talk about IQ. Okay. And this is a dangerous place when you do this, when you're careless with it. You can find yourself one step away from measuring skulls and measuring noses and all that stuff that comes with some real dark shit, that when you start making assumptions about people, groups of people, you're one step away from rounding up groups of people and exterminating them. So we're certainly not I'm not bringing this up. Jeremy Kauffman wasn't bringing this comment up to make the Haitian people feel like shit. But if we're going to have the conversation about what's going on, then we're going to need to be honest. And part of what we need to get honest about is that the people that are being imported into the United States are very low IQ, meaning they don't have the intellectual horsepower to compete. And so I wonder why they're coming. Right. I can understand if you have lined up at the southern border a ton of Indian programmers that you would love to bring into this country and get them to work and program, talented programmers, but get them to work at maybe a little bit less than what you would pay a traditional American programmer. All right. Like I could make that work in my head. I wouldn't love it, but I could understand it. The low IQ waves of military-age fighting men, of course, makes me think that this is for another reason. And when you start to look into collective intelligence, one of the things that you're going to find is that Haiti has collectively one of the lowest IQs in the world. That statistically speaking, they are a primitive people. Now, I know that hearing that sounds super offensive. That, how dare you, you're on your high horse talking about these people. Again, I'm not trying to dunk on anybody here. I'm trying to get honest about a very dangerous and important situation that requires us to know as much as we can about what is happening. And then you make your decisions, okay? But here's the facts. The Haitian people the average score is so low, the IQ score, that half of them, if this was the United States, half of the Haitian public would be ineligible for the death penalty due to mental retardation. Okay? That's reality. And it sounds bad, but you take it up with the people that are doing the studies on this one. And there's several of them. This isn't some Nazi in his basement cooking up facts, right? These are scientists. These are Sebastian Jensen studied 1,034 Haitian students, put them through a variety of tests, came up with 2 IQ scores for them, with 100 being average. The average, anywhere from 90 to 110 is average IQ, 100 being right there in the middle. That's the reason why it's 100. The 2 IQs, again, sort of to put this in context of what the scores mean. 100 is average. 80, you're at the verge. Anything below 80, you are heavily low IQ. Anything below 70, you're mentally retarded. Anything above 133 will get you into Mensa. I think 140 is super genius level, and you're talking about 1% of the population there. Okay. The IQ of the collective IQ of Haiti is 65, with mental retardation being 70. Okay. So I'm sorry. It's not fair. There are reasons for it too. I don't want, this isn't just like, there's nutrition plays a huge part in this, and we'll get into a variety of things. But again, I'm not making these numbers up, and I'm not some guy who's just going to throw numbers out that I can't back up. I did as much research on this as I could. They came up with 2 scores. He said, we have developed 2 scores for Haiti, 65 and 70. Okay. So they went on, different people tackled this, right? It wasn't just one group. Someone named Heiner Reinderman, an author of works on a book called Cognitive Capitalism, who took a look at how IQ scores, how intelligence, social structure building, and all of that plays a role in capitalism. And how if you have a country filled with people that are of low IQ, you're going to have a harder time with capitalism because they have a hard time understanding things like numbers and sequences and all kinds of things. So in his work, the role, he goes into the role of cognitive ability in shaping a nation's economic development. How smart you are collectively as a group of people in your country matters for how well you can develop your country economically. I think that makes sense, right? If you're still rubbing sticks together to start fire, you're not building Amazon, the company Amazon, right? So there's a pathway to this, right? And there's an evolution to it. You sort of, as you build up your intellectual horsepower, you're able to do more and more things. Now, maybe you get some help from people that step into your country and decide to run the machines. I mean, this is the problem that the Bolsheviks had. They had a bunch of peasant farmers that didn't know how to read and didn't know anything. And they took over the means of production, but then nobody knew how to work the means of production because they were all too dumb to figure it out. And they hadn't been trained, and that wasn't their life, and that wasn't their world, and they weren't working machines. They were farmers. So again, the Haitian people have been put in a really bad situation. But there is a bit of an experiment going on in the island of Hispaniola, much in the same way that you would have the experiment going on in the Korean Peninsula with North and South Korea, right? There's a delineation in North and South Korea along the 38th parallel. And you can take a look at the satellite images of the Korean Peninsula at night, and you see South Korea is lit up, and North Korea, there are no lights on, right? Well, do the same with regard to the island of Hispaniola, with the Dominican Republic on the eastern side and Haiti on the west. Same island, same topography, same geography, same everything, different governments. One of them, I mean, the DR is not like, it's not like first world, it's not Singapore, right? It's got its problems, right? It's a poor country, but it has a tourist industry that's thriving. It has industry there. Obviously, it's well known for baseball, and as they say, you don't walk off the island, right? So you got to swing the bat, baby, if you want to get off the island. There's an old pro baseball adage: you don't walk off the island, right? So you don't sit there and take a bunch of base on balls and get your on base percentage up. Nobody gives a fuck. Swing the bat, right? So you can see what's been done there, right? So it's the same island, just geographically split in half. One half apparently did a deal with the devil, according to Pat Robertson. The other half decided to move into tourism and baseball, and it's thriving. By the way, if you get a chance to go to the Dominican Republic on vacation, do it. It's amazing. So Heiner Reinerman, this author of Cognitive Capitalism, he also gave Haiti a score based on his analysis. He gave them an IQ score of 62. So his was even lower than that, right? So the GDP per capita is one of the lowest in the world. Okay, part of this is back to his book, Cognitive Capitalism. He's saying the GDP is low because the IQ is low. These are correlated. 50% of the people in Haiti don't have access to clean water. Again, what does that do to your ability to grow as a child? When you don't have clean water and you don't have food, your brain is not going to develop well. So when I say that the average IQ here in Haiti is 65, anywhere from 62, 65, and 70. You get these three scores. Let's just say 65 right in the middle. I'm not trying to make them feel bad. There's scientific reasons why they are like this. The same reasons why North Korean children are like this, why they show up 7 inches shorter and 30 pounds lighter than their South Korean, kids of the same age. And, it's tragic. It's preventable. It's totally preventable, and it's tragic, and it makes me want to throw up just thinking about this, because it's I don't know. It's a fixable problem that there's no appetite to fix it, because in some regards, the people that would be doing the fixing, they view these people as human robots that are completely and utterly disposable. They don't care what they have to think about anything. They don't care what they have to say about anything. They are irrelevant to the ruling class. Not just of Haiti, but of America as well. In Haiti, according to this book, the what they would consider the intellectual class of Haiti is still sub 100 IQ. So if you are an average person of average intelligence in America, just no better, no worse off than anybody else, you're just kind of right there in the middle. You're still, you could be the President Mountain Dew Camacho of Haiti. You'd be the guy that, who fell asleep and woke up 500 years later and was the smartest guy in the world. You'd be like one of the smartest people in Haiti. God forbid if you were actually like, a genius. You could run Haiti and do whatever you wanted with it. It's just sort of a unfair. Well, it's unfair, but also as we progress through this, what you're going to notice is that a lot of these decisions you almost can't help but wind up in the situation where Haiti is, right? There's something that's known as an IQ communication buffer zone. And this is more, well, I don't know if it's proposed. I don't know if this is theoretical or if it's been proven, but it makes sense actually. Regardless, we'll just leave it as undetermined. Maybe there's truth to it, but they're talking about this buffer zone of IQ communication of being about 30 points, 2 standard deviations around an individual's IQ. And what they're saying is you probably are going to wind up with somebody, a partner or a spouse, that is within your IQ communication buffer zone of 30 points. And it means that you're going to find somebody that is somewhere within 2 standard deviations of you in terms of intelligence, meaning somebody with a degree from MIT isn't going to marry somebody with a 65 IQ from Haiti. That's what they're saying. There's just not a lot. There's not enough in common to make that relationship work. And for the communication to really make that a relationship. Now, extrapolate that out and not as a spouse, but what if you're the president of Haiti and you're 2 standard deviations, you're 3 standard deviations above your people? Now you can't even connect with them. You can't communicate effectively with them. They literally do not understand what you're talking about. You have to dumb it down so much. And then you find that you're in a position where you're almost dealing with a second class of people, a second species of people. Once you're several standard deviations above this IQ, you wind up in a situation where you have nothing in common. And I think that's a bad place to be in general, but it's a bad place to be when you're in government. You're supposed to be ruling over these people, but you have nothing in common with them because they're too stupid for you to communicate with. I think it puts you in a really dangerous place. Let's continue on here. The World Bank's harmonized test scores them at 71, at Haiti at a 71 IQ. So even the World Bank is saying this is a problem. There's something known as the Flynn effect. Have you heard of that? It says that IQs rise about 3 points per decade, just naturally due to improved sanitation and food resources, things like that. We're just getting a little bit smarter, about 3 points a decade. But they have noticed that the Flynn effect is not in effect in Haiti, and that in fact the IQ there is going down. And I would like to remind you that that's easy to do because we've recently had the fluoride lawsuits that were going on in San Francisco. I had Derek Brose in here talking about that. He spent a couple weeks in San Francisco just staying there to cover the trial, and they had to admit during this trial that fluoride knocks about 5 IQ, anywhere from 2 to 5 IQ points off of you if you drink it. So given that we're all not in a position to be donating IQ points away, you want to hold on to those, remove fluoride from the equation as best you can. One of the things that you notice is that, and this has been something that's been talked about recently with people that are commenting on the Haitian situation, and that is that when you get into a scenario where you're dealing with a group of people where everybody, the average is 65 or 70 IQ, the frustrations that normal intelligence or above intelligence people have with dealing with a group of people like this it creates problems that you wouldn't probably even be suspecting. until you get there and you realize what it is, right? You might be expecting that the problem is that the guy doesn't show up, all these guys that you hire don't show up for work because they've got 9 kids and something went wrong and they have to go take care of that, or they didn't show up for work because they just didn't feel like it, or manana, or whatever, whatever the reasons are not showing up for work. And, you would assume that those are going to be the problems that you have as somebody of even just reasonable IQ dealing with let's say you go to Haiti and you start a company and you go, we need to hire 30 people immediately to get on board with this and to start this operation. And one of the things that you will discover, and not limited to Haiti too, I don't want to make this necessarily just Haiti specific, although this is within the context here, but it's any group that's just of low IQ. The things that they discover are impossible for this group to tackle are things like alphabetizing and numerical sorting. Sorting in terms of like, put these documents in order from 1 to 100. They can't do that. Or put these, I want you to we've got this file cabinet. I want you to put the files in there alphabetically, starting with A, ending with Z. That way it's easier for us to organize this office so that when I need to get a file, I know it's in the filing cabinet and I know where it is based on they can't do that. That does not work. There is a disconnect there. So in your office with all of these workers, if you're trying to get them to sort numerically, or you're trying to get them to sort alphabetically, or do anything with relation to that, you can't do it. They can't, they're not there yet. And that has got to be both sad, heartbreaking, really, probably initially extremely frustrating to deal with. And then maybe the more you kind of pondered what was leading, and you sort of said, well, what would cause this? I think it's sad. I think it's sad to realize, like, maybe this is as good as it's going to get. And that's tough, the truth of the matter, and this is going to sound kind of funny, but it's not funny for the people there. But the truth of the matter is that in Haiti, they're living idiocracy right now, unfortunately. It's welcome to Costco. I love you. Nobody, if you can't alphabetize and you can't sort numerically, what else can't you do? You can't manage a bank account, right? You can't understand the intricacies of interest, of compounding debt. You would fall in every trap that was set for you. And you'd better hope that the British and the devil didn't come and get you, or Bill Clinton didn't come and get you, because as soon as they decide that you are a sucker at the 3-card Monte table, as far as they're concerned, right? Oh, you don't know how to alphabetize. You don't understand numbers. Well, step right up to this game. Step right up. So this is kind of where we are. We've got a zone of tolerance, the 20 to 30 IQ point zone that you need to be in. And if you're outside of that, here's the problem. So if you're dealing with a group that is 65 IQ, and you have to be within that zone of tolerance in order to communicate with them, that means that their boss, the maximum their boss can be, is 95 IQ, right? So your boss is going to be lower than average elsewhere. And then that boss's boss is going to finally be somebody who has an idea what the fuck is going on. So the people doing all the work at 65 IQ aren't going to know what's going on. The problem is their boss isn't going to know what's going on either. And then their boss's boss is probably going to know what's going on, but he may have trouble communicating to the person beneath him. And that person is going to have trouble communicating to the people below them. So if you get your entire nation tightly packed within that 30-point margin of error, that zone of tolerance where meaningful communications and meaningful discussions and meaningful interactions can take place, if your entire country is within that zone of tolerance, you're in pretty good shape, because that means everybody can communicate relatively easily. But if you're in Haiti, you have a large segment of the population that's just never going to be reachable, unfortunately. And keep that in mind when we talk about Jeremy Kaufman's breakdown of Haiti, because, it's what he pointed out in there was that, he pointed out that half of the population would be considered mentally disabled, too mentally disabled to be eligible for the death penalty in this state. You can't execute, some guys on death row, and they go, or there'll be challenges to it here in America. They'll say, you can't execute that guy. That guy is too stupid. He didn't even know what he's doing. And then they'll interview him and they'll go, oh shit, you're right. Yeah, he's guilty. We're never going to let him out of prison, but we'll just commute this to a life without parole situation and not execute him, because he might just actually have been so impaired mentally that he really didn't know right from wrong. And using that as the barometer, Jeremy Kaufman points out that half of the population of Haiti would be ineligible for the death penalty. Does that sound horribly racist and mean? Only if you're not following along at home. I mean, look, the facts hurt. The facts are, it sucks for the people of Haiti. And again, plenty of reasons why. I'm not trying to say it's all their fault. I mean, they have had the deck stacked against them for a very long time. But when you have an IQ that low, you struggle with basic concepts like cause and effect. If I do this to this person right now, if I pull out a knife and rob this lady right now or kill this lady right now, I'm going to get that money right now. 2 minutes into the future, the police are going to catch you and put you in the back of the police car, and the rest of your life is going to be spent in a cage. If you can't make that calculation in the moment when you are in the process of robbing this person, that you can't make the calculation that once I do this, the police will start looking for me. Cause and effect. And once they start looking for me, they're going to put me in the back of a police car. And once they put me in the back of a police car, I'm never getting out of prison for the rest of my life. Those calculations we would make easily, instantaneously. What I'm saying is that when you go below a different level, that doesn't happen instantaneously. In fact, in some cases, it doesn't happen at all. That it might as well be another person in the future that gets arrested by the police, not the person committing the crime, because the person committing the crime quite literally cannot imagine the future. Now think about that in terms of a bunch of people in your neighborhood who do not understand cause and effect and can't imagine the future. Is that a dangerous situation? Well, it could be. It doesn't necessarily mean it. It could just be, you could just be a mild-mannered person that got kicked in the head by a mule when you were a kid, and you spend the rest of your life with circus music playing and whatever. I don't know. But you could be harmless, but you could be dangerous too. And given the track record of large groups of dumb people together, violence breaks out, right? So it is. This is something that's very serious. I mean, it's been kind of goofed on. They're eating cats, and they're doing, and everyone, and then the cat memes come out, and they're eating ducks, and Donald Trump running with a cat and a duck. It's funny. Like the whole thing is funny. Like I get it. The joke is hysterical, and of course there's a segment of the population that take it all very seriously, and they're like, they're not eating cats. How dare you do that? And like they get all triggered, and it's funny to watch. Let's be honest. But the truth is that there's a very serious side of this. There's something below the surface that they're not talking about. And that is that these people that come up through the southern border that are of severely diminished mental capacity, they're going to have a difficult time participating in American society. They just are. Some people will blend in. Some people assimilate. Listen, to be fair, if I just packed up and I moved to Nigeria, I'd have a hard time assimilating too. So it's a fair point. But it's not just culturally, though, also language-wise. Do you have the ability to pick up the English language if you've come here? Well, if you have a 65 IQ, probably not. This is a hard language to learn when you're a native English speaker. You have words like there, and there that are all spelled differently, mean the same thing, but sound the same. Like, good luck trying to explain to somebody who's eating your cat that there should be an apostrophe in there somewhere. So here's the breakdown, and here's the breakdown that Jeremy put on X, and I borrowed it from him, so credit to him for this on it. So he's talking about it, and the IQ number he chose was 67. So we're all in the same range here, right? We've had a 62, a 65, a 67, a 70, and a 71. So whatever. But if you start at 67 where he did, what Jeremy says is that one standard deviation up from 67 will put you at an IQ of 82 average is 100. Very, very low average, is 80. Well, actually, I should say low average is 90 to 110 is that average spot. Anything but the 10 points below that, you're starting to get into mentally, you're starting to get into like lower IQ, and then anything below 70, you're in like mentally retarded era. So when you bump up one entire standard deviation, which is a huge move in terms of intelligence. This isn't just like a little bit more. This is the difference between like, I don't know. It's a huge difference. It's in this particular case, it's the equivalent of 15 IQ points, right, to move up one. So at an 82 IQ, this would be 1 in 6 Haitians would be at an 82 IQ. And what is an 82 IQ? 82 IQ is the equivalent of living in a poor rural area a poor urban area, like you're outside, you're in Gary, Indiana, right? And you would be qualified to be a below average janitor at an 82 IQ. And this would be 1 out of every 6 Haitians would be in this category, this 1 standard deviation away. So at 2 standard deviations, you're now at 97 IQ. You're still 3 points below the average in the United States. So only 2% of Haitians will be as smart as the average American. Not my words, not my stats. This was the statistics that come out of a variety of different authors and scientists that have done this research, and Jeremy Kaufman was using this as a benchmark to show their work. So at 3 standard deviations, which is damn near impossible, but at 3 standard deviations, it puts you at an IQ of 112. Okay. That is a possible engineering job, entry-level engineering job, 112. A lot of people that can do that. 112 is not too important. 1 out of every 1,000 Haitians would be maybe an engineer. 1 out of 1,000 could be an engineer. Okay, that's according to these numbers. At 4 standard deviations, you get to an IQ of 127. This is smart, but not gifted. This would be in the smart but not gifted category. Out of 11.4 million people in Haiti, the statistics worked out that only 440 people out of 11.4 million would be in this category. 4 standard deviations higher than the mean. At 5 standard deviations, it would be, you'd have a 142 IQ. So you'd be in the genius range. 133 will get you in Mensa. 140 will get you in the top half of Mensa. 142. You're an inventor now. You can run a business. You can do all kinds of things. At 5 standard deviations, out of 11.4 million people in Haiti, there would be 3 with this IQ. Okay. So don't hate the messenger, hate the message. So let's move on. Let's talk about what they're doing. They're depopulating Haiti. Okay. It is the most populous nation there, but it doesn't do much. They don't export a ton. We don't get a whole lot from them. They export people more than anything. You have seen that there's a strategy to this. Demonize the people, demoralize the people, dehumanize the people, and then depopulate the people. And that's where we are in Haiti. They've been demonized by conquering nations for a long time. The French treated them extremely poorly. And also, listen, eugenics, see, when you start talking about things like IQ, okay, I mentioned it puts you in a weird category of where some of the depopulationists of the past would use this as the justification to say, see, this is the reason why we have to get rid of all these brown people. They're just taking up too much space on our planet, right? So you find yourself in this conversation where it's science, and it's about the science of intellectual horsepower and IQ and all of that stuff. But there's a component of that science that gets hijacked and gets used by the darker, more dangerous elements that want to use the science as the justification for thinning the herd a little bit more. Eugenics comes out of this, transhumanism, of course, the rebranding of eugenics, and you find places like Haiti that are used for, well, if you don't provide, if you're not going to provide engineers and geniuses, then what can you provide? Well, you can provide a lot of human beings that can be used for a variety of things. Former Haitian Prime Minister confirmed to CNN in 2010 that there was a problem with human trafficking in Haiti. He said it was beyond that the problem, it was beyond just human trafficking. He went on to mention that it involves the collection and sale of children to various people. There's a massive problem with organ harvesting there. Not the best organs to harvest, though. I mean, I guess if you need a spleen in the next, tomorrow, you can't be too picky about whose spleen you get. There are better, healthier human bodies out there. But again, this is a sick, disgusting industry that generates a lot of money. And when you see the Haitian people as something other than, it puts them in a position to be used as not. I mean, just look at how they're treated. They're treated as non-humans. They are believed to be not inhuman in terms of communication capacity with intelligent people. I mean, they might as well be cows. As far as the scientists are concerned, it's a fucking disgusting way to view this. But that's how these people, they think. They think this way. The United Nations is deeply involved in Haiti. The Clinton Foundation is involved in it. Speaking of the Clinton Foundation, why would Bill and Hillary spend their honeymoon in the picturesque Haiti, as where you look out your window and you all those beautiful trees that used to be there before the people cut them all down and used the wood for fuel to heat their fires and everything. They've cut all the trees down. Not all of them, but most of them. There's huge problems there. So 1975, Haiti had the unfortunate distinction of getting on the radar of two of the most demonic people currently alive on this planet, Bill Clinton and his reprehensible bride, Hillary Rodham, spending their honeymoon in Haiti. I mean, what kind of voodoo rituals do you suppose was going on there? I'm just saying. And of course they've been involved with the earthquake. We're going to get into that a little bit. But I think a lot of you might remember another reason why the Clintons were involved in Haiti. Do you remember who Laura Silsby is? Have you heard that name? Does it sound familiar? Well, Laura Silsby used to work for the Clinton Foundation, and she was arrested at the border of the Dominican Republic, trying to leave Haiti with children. 33 children, I think it was. Children that were orphans, that did not have their parents were unfortunately died during the 2010 earthquake, and these children were orphans, and Laura Silsby was taking them out of the country to a facility that they had set up somewhere, except that her story didn't really add up. It turned out that there wasn't a place. The story she gave them was a lie. She couldn't prove that the children were orphans. In fact, it turned out that they had parents and they were looking for these kids. What was really going on was that Laura Silsby, at the direction and behest of the Clinton Foundation, was stealing children. She was put in a prison in Haiti and was held there for trafficking children. And she said, "You guys have the wrong person. I'm not involved in this." And they said, "Well, tell that to the judge." And she said, no, you're going to make a phone call and you're going to call my boss, Bill Clinton, and he's going to straighten this whole thing out. And they said, "Oh, really?" So they called Bill Clinton. And Bill Clinton got on a private jet, flew to Haiti. I don't know what he did there, but he walked out with Laura Silsby. Okay, and he took her home. She was trying to steal their children, and they let him walk out with her. So the Clintons are deeply involved in this. Okay, let's get into the 2010 earthquake. 7.2 earthquake. It killed, again, the numbers, statistics, and there's a problem with statistics in Haiti. There's a problem that the information, the documentation isn't always of the highest quality. So when you start talking about death tolls, the numbers are wide. 220,000. I've heard numbers as high as 350,000. Let's just say 250,000 plus. You never know how many of those wind up dying in the aftermath of that, and it's sort of earthquake related in a sense, but who knows? 1.5 million were homeless after the earthquake. Not to mention however many were homeless before the earthquake and the abject poverty that Haiti was facing before that. They certainly did not need that. And if you look at the way that earthquake was set up and the sort of topography of how the island is set, the earthquake, the power of the earthquake was almost like funneled straight into Port-au-Prince. Just because of the topography of the ocean floor and the underground cave, the underground mountain systems and the depth of the water, whatever it was, everything came together and created an extra dangerous situation that really sort of focused the power right in one region of Haiti. So it's 7.2 earthquake, which in and of itself is catastrophic. But on top of that, it felt even bigger. The engineering in Haiti is subpar as you could imagine. Most of the shanties in that region fell down. Of course, you have to worry, it's an island. You have to worry about the impact of flooding, tsunamis, things like that. It didn't really have a Japanese style tsunami issue the way that Japan did, but it certainly wasn't left unscathed either. So what do you do? What do you do when you have a big problem like this? You bring in Bill Clinton to fix the problem. Bill Clinton co-chaired the Interim Haiti Recovery Commission, IHRC. And he did this with Haitian Prime Minister Jean-Max Belivier. That was the guy who went on CNN and said, we have a problem with human trafficking. You have a problem with human trafficking and you bring Bill Clinton in to be your partner? No wonder you have a problem with human trafficking. Have you asked your partner? I mean, by the way, not for nothing, but my assumption is that this guy isn't innocent either. You don't become the Haitian prime minister, know that you have a problem with human trafficking, and not somehow be involved in it. Because if you were trying to stop it, you'd be dead, or regime changed, or whatever. So I'll have you know that $13.3 billion was pledged by international donors for the aftermath of the Haitian earthquake. $9.9 billion was collected. You know what they did with that money? Well, they built a $300 million industrial park for the international corporations, but nothing for the people. The money just disappeared. $9.9 billion. They built $300 million on an industrial park? Really? That's the best you could do? You could build some ports. I mean, I'd build some infrastructure, right? Some ports, some power plants. You guys, did you build power plant? No. Did you guys build roads? Did you rebuild bridge? No. They built a couple houses. They stole the rest of the money. All in all, I will tell you how the money got divvied up. You have Haitian organizations, you have Haitian government, and you have non-Haitian organizations. Okay. Those are the three options you get. The Haitian organizations, their share of the money that they got 0.6% went to the Haitian organizations. Organizations based in Haiti for Haiti there that could help out. They got less than 1% of the money, 0.6% to be precise. How much ended up with the Haitian government? That would be 9.6% wound up with the Haitian government. Let's just round up and say 10%. So 10% went to the Haitian government. Less than 0.5% went to the Haitian organizations. How much went to the non-Haitian organizations? That would be 89.8% went to the groups that were external to Haiti that were coming in to help. Okay. I can understand how if you've had a domestic problem, maybe the domestic solutions are in rubble too. And maybe you have to bring in international solutions and give them a bunch of money to help out. After all, the problem is domestic, so it stands to reason that some of the domestic organizations might not be in a position to help out. So I can understand why you would give money to international organizations to help because they're coming from outside and they're coming in and they're coming to help. So you're going to give them money to help. That makes sense. I get that. But 90%, 89.8%? Seriously? 90% of it went to them? 10% to the local Haitian government? Practically nothing to the organizations? So, okay, so fine. You gave 90% of all this money to the non-Haitian organizations. What'd they do with it? Did they build ports? Did they build roads? Did they build bridges? Did they build houses? No, they didn't do any of that stuff. Like I said, they built a $300 million industrial park and left. That's it. Maybe Sean Penn has the money. You know, Sean Penn was there. He's always there. He's there in Ukraine. He's there in Haiti. Boy, if I didn't know any better, I'd say maybe Sean Penn worked for the CIA. I don't know. Do you know who Klaus Eberwein is? Probably not. He's from the Haitian government, and he called the Clintons out for stealing the money. He's from the Haitian government. He said, I would like you to know that the Clinton Foundation is stealing all this money. We here in the government, we barely have any of it. I mean, we would love to steal all this money, but we just don't have it. Clintons have it. And on top of that, he even went so far as to testify against the Clintons in an anti-corruption hearing. Well, I mean, he was planning on testifying against the Clintons. He never made it. He wound up with a bullet in his head a week before he was set to testify. It was ruled suicide, of course. He was under a lot of stress. He decided to kill himself rather than testify against the Clintons, don't you know? The interim Haiti Recovery Commission that I mentioned, Bill Clinton was in charge of. He was in charge of the international side of things. Haitian Prime Minister Jean-Max Bellevere was in charge of the domestic side of things. That organization that was formed, the interim Haiti Recovery Commission, it closed in October of 2011 without doing much. Yeah. You know, much like the Clinton Global Initiative closed the day after she lost the election because, you know, all the problems of the world went away, and it certainly wasn't an influence peddling shakedown operation used to collect cash, right? So you shut it down, much like you shut down this interim thing. Of course, by the way, it's an interim in its name. It wasn't intended to stay afloat forever, but I mean, as soon as that money's stolen, there's no need to keep it going. I mean, nobody's going to come looking for you, especially when you create something called the Clinton-Bush Haiti Fund. For all those people that think that like George H.W. Bush in 92 was running against Bill Clinton and there's this big fight and they were different sides, a red team versus blue team. No, they were both working together in Mena, Arkansas. Bill was running the cocaine for George H.W. Bush's enterprise. They all work for the same group. They work for the enterprise. So they're all part of this group. So when you see the Clinton-Bush Haiti Fund, you go, oh, these presidents are setting aside their differences to come together to help the Haitian people. Slow down. There are no differences between these factions. They're not separate. They work together. Clintons and Bushes are just fine doing business together. So, and of course, you know, they're known for their humanitarian. They're just a bunch of humanitarians getting together here. Now, in this case, the Bush in this Clinton-Bush Haiti Fund was George W. Bush. It wasn't H.W. Bush, but same thing, you know. They raised $54.4 million and disbanded in 2012 after doing jack shit. Well, I shouldn't say not doing anything. They did send $2.5 million to the Clinton Foundation for safekeeping. God, you want to talk about lighting your money on fire? Leonardo DiCaprio donated $1 million to the Clinton-Bush Haiti Fund. What a retard. He should have just lit that money on fire in the parking lot. It would have been much more valuable. Clinton Foundation sent $36 million to Haiti. Clinton-Bush Haiti sent $55 million to Haiti. Clinton Global Initiative Haiti Action Network had $500 million in it. And if all of this wasn't bad enough, when I say that this was, you know, a lot of this isn't Haiti's fault, that they've cut down all the trees and they make mud pies and eat them, and, you know, I mean, like, as if all of this wasn't enough, Bill Clinton fucked Haiti the hardest when he was the president of the United States back in the 90s. He forced changes on Haiti's agricultural industry, making them fully dependent on U.S. food crops. And when you become fully dependent on the U.S. empire for food, they will starve you out or make you do whatever they need you to do. They will keep you just barely functioning with their GMO crops or golden rice or whatever sort of sales pitch they've got for these people to say, oh, well, we'll take care of your agriculture industry. You guys are too stupid. You're 65 IQ. I mean, you can't grow anything here. We'll plant the food. Get out of the way, dummy. We're going to show you how it's done. That's what Clinton did in the 90s with that, bringing in Monsanto and Dow and all these companies that just fucking gutted Haiti. And now the soil is garbage and nothing grows there and right on schedule, right? And as his reward, as Bill Clinton's reward for enslaving Haiti, he was later named United States Special Envoy to Haiti. And I think it is fair to say, if you want to put it in this context, Bill Clinton is Haiti's handler. He's in charge of Haiti for the globalists, right? As Secretary of State, Hillary Clinton helped to deploy $4.4 billion through USAID. And that money was used to subvert Haiti, of course. Any money going to Haiti. Look, it's either going through Bill Clinton, UN Special Envoy, Clinton Bush Haiti Fund, Clinton Foundation, Clinton Global Initiative, whatever. It's either going that way, or it was going the other way through the State Department, where it was going through Hillary Clinton. So either way, the money was flowing through. It was either going through Bill Clinton or through Hillary Clinton or both. Was Jeffrey Epstein involved in Haiti? Oh, interesting. We might have that. That's going to be a topic for another day. But let's wrap up here. So let's wrap up with this. I mean, that's sort of the rundown on the history of Haiti. The French put them in a bad spot. The Americans haven't been any better. We've destroyed them with multinational companies like Monsanto and those groups that get in there. The United Nations definitely wants to depopulate them under the guise of helping liberate their souls from this planet, right? So that's I have a ton of empathy for the people of Haiti. They've been put in a bad situation. They need to make better decisions, but clearly there's a decision-making problem, right? There's a decision-making intentionally a problem at the top with the governments, but then there's just a problem getting on board from a horsepower standpoint for the people of Haiti. And listen, nutrition will improve that. And this is not where you are going to be forever. It's just where you are now. And hopefully we can get some well-meaning people in there that actually want to turn it around and not pillage the place like the Clintons did. Springfield, Ohio, 60,000 people, just added 20,000 Haitians. Mayor Rob Rue is warning the public. Better lock up your goose. Your goose gets loose, man. History for it. They were talking about, Jeremy Kaufman made a comment about, we're talking about cities in Haiti. They're like, well, what are they going to do to the city of Springfield, Ohio, if you inject, whatever, you now make 1/4 of the population. Now it goes from 60,000 to 80,000 and 20,000 of them are Haitian. What does that do? Well, what was going on in some of the cities in Haiti? He mentioned a city called Cité Soleil, Sun City, in Haiti. Population, 300,000. 300,000 is quite a few people, right? In this city in Haiti that has a population of 300,000, there is no running water, there is no electricity. There are no schools, there are no stores, there's no plumbing, there's no hospitals. So if that is the future city you want to live in that has nothing, no infrastructure at all, and 300,000 people have decided that that's the best option for them, is to live in a place that has none of this, then Springfield, Ohio, or insert city name here, is going to look a whole lot different in the future. You have to have people that understand how this system works. This system that we live in here in the West has a lot of flaws with it, right? It's really broken. But it's the system that we are familiar with right now. If you're coming to a new system, be that you're moving from Haiti to America or you're moving from California to Nevada, it is your duty. If you're leaving the current system that you're in because things are really screwed up, you don't get to move to the new place and bring your screwed up ideas with you, whether that's voting history, leaving California and going to a red state, or whether that's what you do to cats and geese when you leave your country and come to another country. All right. Get on board with social, cultural norms. And if you're unable or unwilling to do it, then you are in the wrong place. Okay. So, but they are, of course, manufacturing a response to the crisis that they created. When I say they, I mean Trilateral Commission, U.S. government, all this, the border situation, the integration problem that we are experiencing here. They are creating a problem reaction solution scenario here, where the problem is Haitians, the reaction is, oh my God, they're eating cats. The solution is something authoritarian, right? Looks like it's time to cut another deal with the devil, right, Pat? Hey, if you like this episode, you can take the additional step right now of sharing it with your friends and family. You can connect with me. Macroaggressions.io is the best place to do that. Thanks, everybody. I'll talk to you again later.